I'm voting for Bill Montgomery because he's going to tell us what we need to hear instead of what we want to hear.
We're voting for Bill Montgomery because
he'll be a mayor for all the people.
Bill supports small businesses.
He gets it.
Bill's been building strong neighborhoods
for more than 35 years.
Bill Montgomery's been a very strong advocate for the arts and for preserving Wilmington's rich cultural heritage.
Bill Montgomery
will be a mayor for all the people.
I'm voting for Bill Montgomery because he's intelligent, inclusive, and has vision.
I'm voting for Bill Montgomery because I know him to be a man of integrity with strong leadership.
My friends and I are working for a safer, stronger Wilmington. Join us.
Paid for by Montgomery for mayor.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Alfred Lance and I'll be your host for the next hour as we chat with Democratic candidate for mayor of City of Wilmington, Bill Montgomery. Bill is one of 5 Democrats vying for the office of Wilmington's mayor on Tuesday, September 11th, Democratic primary, just 9 days away. And today, over the course of the next hour, we're going to be talking about 2 very important issues facing the city of Wilmington: education and violent crime in the city. But before we get into that, let's first talk to Bill and learn a little bit about his background and find out about his experience that's prepared him for this moment. Bill, how are you today?
Feeling very good, Alfred. Good
Great.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Bill, will you tell us a little bit about your background and what makes you the man you are today?
I think, well, my background, if you're talking in terms of resume, I have a background pretty much in working for the people my whole career. I've been a career public servant. I'm not embarrassed about that. I worked, coming out of college, I got my first job as a social worker over at 28th and Governor Prince Street, and was hired by a very beautiful woman who helped me get my first job, and that was a woman named Dorothy Street.
Okay.
She, some of you may know, she is actually Jay Street's late mother. And she gave me my first shot right out of college to try and use my skills and become a social worker. And I used to have, in those early days, it'd be a little bit, shall we say, you know, get a little upset sometimes. Am I doing my job right? You know, the stresses of your first job out of college. And Dorothy used to say, "Mr. Montgomery, this too shall pass." So I think that advice has stuck with me throughout my career.
Right.
But I spent time doing that. I later I had a gentleman named Charles Debnam give me my next shot, and he had me do child abuse prevention work around the state for what became the kids department here in Delaware. And I worked on the issue of child abuse prevention and took programs into the schools from Del Mar up to Claymont, dealing with child sexual abuse, and this back in the mid-'80s when that was quite a taboo topic. Not that it's an easier topic to deal with today,
Absolutely.
but did that kind of work. I worked for City Council for 10 years as their chief of staff and learned the ropes of city government, going back and forth as sort of the diplomat, if you will, between the council and the mayor. First Mayor Frawley, later Mayor Sills for some of my career. Went to Dover for a while and had a job there working for the legislature in a nonpartisan position where I had to keep not only my people, the Democrats, happy, but also the Republicans. And I tried to do a very balanced job there. I took the role of a nonpartisan position very seriously and tried to support both of the parties very well. And then I got a chance to come back to the city after that, and for the last 11 years have been the chief of staff for the mayor, and left that position in April to run for mayor full time. But I've been very fortunate. I've had great mentors along the way. I had a woman named Gwendolyn Broadwater take me under her wing in my early social work days, and she used to, her daughter's still here in the city, but she used to tell her daughter that I was her second son. So people have gone out of the way to help me in my career. Folks like Edward Loper Sr. I oil paint on the weekends, or at least I used to before I started running for mayor. And folks like Ed Loper were, you know, I count them among my mentors as well.
Well, great. Well, how about we talk about one that I'm sure is on the mind of so many people, Mayor James Baker. We know that you've had a long career working together, but a lot of people are wondering, can Bill Montgomery be his own man?
Well, short answer, yes. I am my own man. I have my own ideas, my own interest and my own hopes and dreams for this city. But I also was given some great opportunities to grow in my career because of my association with Jim Baker. I met him in 1975 when I had black hair and an afro. I know that's hard for the audience to believe. But I met him in '75, and he got me involved in community work in our neighborhood. Working with him, he helped us form the Inter-Neighborhood Foundation. We were the first community group in the city, first community group in the whole nation to get money out of an Urban Development Action Grant, a federal grant. And we got $6.2 million for our communities, Midtown Brandywine, Upper East Side, and Brandywine Village, to do housing in those communities for 25 years. So I owe Jim a debt of gratitude, but I'm not so much focused on the past now. I'm focused on the next 4 years. Where's the city heading? What do we need to be doing? How do we handle the tough problems facing the city, especially the two we're going to talk about today, crime and education?
Absolutely, because that's particularly what Wilmington citizens are concerned about. Now, Bill, can I ask you a question? You have worked on the city government on both the legislative side as well as the administrative side, and you've also worked in state government. Would you say that you're uniquely qualified among candidates in this race to be the next mayor of the city of Wilmington?
I've tried to make that case to the folks that I've been knocking on doors and talking to. I do have a broad range of experience. I understand the role of the legislature to be the check and the balance, but I also understand that the day-to-day work of keeping a government going rests on the governor's shoulders, the mayor's shoulders. That is the CEO of those governments. The mayor is your CEO of a corporation, basically. This city spends in any given year about $250 million. I'm used to managing the details of that budget. I'm used to putting that budget together, and I'm used to managing the 1,100 people who make up the city government. So we're looking for an important thing here. We're looking for somebody with managerial and with leadership experience.
Wonderful, and we are certainly excited to hear more about what you'll provide for the city of Wilmington. Well, next we're going to get into a little bit of a discussion about education and crime. And what we're going to do is, when we come back, I'll introduce our next guest, and we'll talk a little bit about what Bill Montgomery would like to see for the city of Wilmington in terms of changing education as well as changing violent crime in the city of Wilmington.
I'm voting for Bill Montgomery because I trust him and his leadership to move the city forward.
I'm voting for Bill Montgomery because he has a proven track record. He's the best investment for the city.
Bill supports small businesses.
He gets it. Bill's been building strong neighborhoods
for more than 35 years.
Bill Montgomery's been a very strong advocate for the arts and for preserving Wilmington's rich cultural heritage.
Bill Montgomery
will be a mayor for all the people.
I'm new to Wilmington, and I'm voting for Bill Montgomery because of his experience and his passion for our city.
I'm voting for Bill Montgomery because he gets it. He's a hard-working, dedicated, honest, courageous professional.
My friends and I are working for a safer, stronger Wilmington. Join us.
Paid for by Montgomery for mayor.
Welcome back. We're here with mayoral candidate William S. Montgomery, Bill Montgomery, mayor for City of Wilmington, running for on Tuesday, September 11th, Democratic primary. We're going to talk a little bit now about two very important issues facing the City of Wilmington. We're going to talk about education and violent crime. In this segment, we'll be addressing education, and we have a few guests that I'd like to introduce to you. First, we have Tizzy Lockman, Red Clay School District parent. We also have Paul O'Neill, teacher at Eastside Charter School. And then we have Mike Matthews, teacher at Richardson Park Elementary School. Welcome.
Thanks.
Great to have you all here today. And basically just want to ask you a few questions. What do you see as the greatest educational needs for Wilmington students today? What does Wilmington need in terms of education too?
Well, from a parent's perspective, I think it'd be great to have strong and stable schools. I enrolled my daughter 5 years ago in our schools, and it was really important to me to have a school in my neighborhood, in the city, that I felt that would be a competitive and challenging school for my daughter. And it was really a struggle to find a school that was diverse, but had the strength of a strong school leader and stable teachers, and even just a nice socioeconomically mixed student body was really what I was looking for. And I was really shocked to find what a challenge it was to find a school like that. And I think a lot of parents are facing that right now. Parents who would like to send their children to public schools in the city are finding a lot of stress and chaos that they're facing and trying to figure out what would be the best fit for their kids.
Tizzy, what school did you find? We had to everybody listening.
I ended up enrolling my daughter. I did choice, and I put her at Highlands Elementary School.
Okay.
And we've been very happy there ever since. But I just see a lot of parents just with terror in their eyes when they get to kindergarten. What can they do? And we don't see, whether it's deserved or not as a reputation, we don't see a lot of schools with a reputation of strength and stability.
And Tizzy, would you say that there are a number of parents living in the city of Wilmington that are committed to city schools and want to see their young people?
I think there are a lot of people who are in theory, who I hear all the time. I live in the Cool Spring neighborhood, and I hear a lot of people say, I really wish we could use the neighborhood school. And they just don't feel confident that they can do that. I think it has to do with just the concentration of poverty in our schools makes people very concerned, and because that leads directly to another big problem I think the city schools have, which is just there's a lack of voice that we have in our districts, and above and beyond that. So I think there's some of it is just undeserved fear to jump in and be a part of the city schools and be committed to them. But some of it is founded. It's really tough being in a school with high poverty. I mean, I do that every year, and I love it, and I think my daughter's getting a lot out of her school in lots of different ways, but you wonder sometimes what you're sacrificing to send your child to a school where there maybe isn't as much parent engagement, as much, when it all washes out, maybe not as much funding in the terms of what that parent engagement can lead to when you have people advocating on the district level or just fundraising in the community.
Now, can you talk to us a little bit more about that parental engagement piece? I understand that you're very active in your daughter's school's parent-teacher association.
Yes, I lead our PTA at Highlands, and it's a huge part of school success is having parents who understand how school works and really can dig in and help advocate for their kids, but really for all of the kids in the school. And that's usually the more engaged parents you have, the more strength you have in a school for all of the children. And I think that's something that suffers when you have a school where so many of the children are maybe coming from a background where parents don't have as much education or income, and so parents don't have the ability or necessarily even the confidence to come in and be engaged. And all of the kids in the schools suffer with that. So I think for me, it's just important to try to bring people on board and be inclusive and have us all have in addition to what the teachers and the administrators are doing that we can't replicate, we can bring a vibe of wholesomeness and all that other stuff that you would expect in the elementary years.
Our two teachers will tell you their
trials and tribulations. How about we go on to our teachers? Mr. Paul O'Neill, you are a teacher at Eastside Charter School. Tell me a little bit about your experience working at Eastside Charter, and what do you think Wilmington students need?
I come from a different background. I've worked for Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. I started teaching about 6 years ago, and I think we really need, giving Tizzy credit, teachers, parents like Tizzy who are really active in their schools. I've gone to PTA meetings where there's only been 4 parents there. Wow. The amount of activity that Tizzy puts in, more parents are committed to their children's education, and I think the mayor can be more of an advocate to realize that if you do not educate your children now, you may have to incarcerate them later. I think we really need active parents in our society. Like Tizzy's doing a fantastic job, and more parents like her.
Now, what you were saying about if we don't educate our young people now, we'll have to incarcerate them later, that's a very big message here in the city of Wilmington, and we know that there's a sort of a revolving door, unfortunately, with the dropout rate in the city of Wilmington and the high levels of incarceration in the city. Mike, will you talk to us a little bit about your experience working at Richardson Park Elementary School? From your perspective, what do you think